Okay, Jerry, I know you dying to go get packed. Now, the other question I have for you, what about someone that has made $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 on a consistent basis over time? What kind of tips can you give someone like that?
Yeah, that's good. That means that if you've already earned that type of money, six-figure income, multiple six-figure income a year, then you're in a situation where you're, a leader. You've created results, like yourself, Chris. I mean, you've generated the multiple six-figure income and so forth on a residual type basis like a lot of people really want. So in that type of situation, you want to understand, what can you do to better support your people? What can you do to assist your people in developing? What can you do to assist them in going from their current reality to their preferred reality? And this is where it's really important to make sure you have the systems set up properly, make sure you have the tracks for people to run on, make sure you have these things set up to where it is really simple for the average person to plug into them. Don't do anything that's going to be overly complicated for people where they're not going to be able to do, or it's going to cost like $10,000 for them to engage in some type of advertising campaign. The average person can't do that. So you want to make sure you keep your systems real simple, you keep them real basic, you keep them where they can be replicable. In other words, other people can really say, you know what, I can do that. You want your people saying, I can do that, instead of like, there's no way I can do that. So that goes from everything from the answers that you give them when they ask you questions. So if they ask you a question, instead of you giving them a 1-hour answer yourself, point them at a tool. So you learn to point people at tools. It's going to be one of the important things. I call it pat. You want to pat people instead of what most people do is whack people. They willingly attempt to kill them by giving them all this information. And then people say, wait a minute, I can't do that. That was good that you're able to do it, but I can't remember none of that stuff. So if you start using tools, people are going to start feeling more comfortable. So that's why tools, systems, all those things are really critical for those of you who are already generating a six-figure or multiple six-figure income, just like Chris Kinney here.
And that reminds me of the triangle of success. Can you demonstrate what it looks like when people are in that
the success triangle?
Yeah, the success.
Success triangle is one of the most important things that I teach as a foundational skill. If you ever go to any of my trainings, you go to my calendar at clubrhino.com, you see my calendar of where I'm going to be all over the world. And if I'm speaking to a group that's never heard of me, I'm going to talk about the success triangle. And the reason why is because there's 3 angles, obviously, on the success triangle. At the bottom is what is called internal communication. On the left is called external communication. And on the right-hand side is called technical know-how. And the internal communication is simply how you communicate with yourself, which is really critical. The external communication is how you communicate with others, and the technical know-how is the how-tos. Unfortunately, a lot of people want to plug into the how-tos, but the key is that you're not going to get yourself to do the how-tos on a consistent basis if you haven't mastered that internal communication. Because your belief systems, your philosophies, that's what's going to determine if you move forward, how you move forward. So that's going to be really key for you to understand. So the success triangle, this is a really short explanation of it, but just understand, if you master the success triangle, you'll be able to eliminate commuting, destroy your alarm clock, fire your boss, and earn at least a six-figure income for the rest of your life if you really master those 3 angles: the internal communication, which is how you communicate with yourself; the external communication, which is how you communicate with others; and the technical know-how, which is the how-tos. You want to really master all 3 components to be able to set yourself up in a big way.
That's awesome, Jerry. Now, I am real excited. I just hired you as a coach for this year, and we're going to collaborate. Now, what's the first thing you mentioned you find out with someone? What is there an A or B or C? The A, B, C. Can you cover that real?
Yeah. Well, my coaching clients, it's pretty interesting, because when I started working with people, the first thing I want to know, obviously, is where they are, their current situation. I want to know kind of the journey that they've been through to get them to where they are. And that's going to assist me in knowing some of their habits and some of the things that they're doing right now. Also, I want to know where they want to go. So I want to know their current reality, I want to know their preferred reality, and in between there's what we call a gap. Okay, I call it a transformation gap. There are some constraints that may be preventing people from easily closing this gap. So I want to know what those constraints are. I want to know what their strengths are that my clients have, and I want to know some of the weaknesses that they have. And this is going to start allowing me to assist them in developing an action plan that can work within them, within their personality, within their behavior, within their current habits. How can they maximize their current habits? How can they maximize their current strengths to get what they want? And how can they not allow their current weaknesses to prevent them from moving forward, to prevent them from getting what they want? So once we go through that process, and I figure out what some of those constraints. A lot of it is about dissolving some of those constraints to make it a little bit more simpler for them to close that transformation gap to get to where they really want to go. And people are really surprised at how much easier it is to get to where you want to go once you start dissolving a lot of some of the mostly mental limitations that may be occurring, or it may be some structural or some system components that may be required. Like for yourself, you know, you already have broken through a lot of these basic mental constraints that a lot of people have. You're at a higher level because of the income and the leadership that you've developed over all the years. So we'll be really looking at system, structural components on how we can make things a lot easier for people to make sure that they're able to move forward and get to what they want quicker.
Wow, that was a mouthful. Thank you so much, Jerry Clark. Hey, and I'm going to do one more quick little video. I know Jerry's dying to go up. He doesn't want to miss the plane and get stuck here. He wants to get back to Texas. But we're going to do one more because we're going to collaborate a little bit on Australia, which is real exciting because I have a great group of people down there, and you're going to be traveling there with your family. So we'll do this. One next video will be our little Australia collaboration.